Dave, now we're on the boat I got to run offshore today. The 2901 Century. Let me tell you something. Was that ever a sweet ride offshore? Ran into a little head sea, she didn't even feel it.
Well, the first thing I noticed when we got on board is it's got bow seating like we keep seeing, but they put up backrest so you face the right way, you face forward.
That's right. And I tell you, I spoke with the rep of the Century. He said the women love that. The family loves that concept. It's another step in the evolution of center consoles. This is a boat that you can ride very comfortably up front. It's not always your best place to sit in a boat, but on the right day, this thing's a dream to ride from up here.
Well, out of the 3 boats we brought, this is the longest one. She's 29 feet long, but she's also a little bit more narrow than the Southport. What is 9'6" beam as opposed to what was a 10'6"?
A 10'6", and that's exactly right. What does that do? That gives you less planing surface, makes you a little more fuel efficient, makes you a better ride into a head sea. You're not going to have the pound. Maybe you sacrifice a little stability beam-wise, walking back and forth like we experienced on the Southport, but man, does it make a difference when you go to cross a big body of water.
Right, and the look of this boat is more traditional too. If you look at this boat, when you were running alongside of me today, this boat has an aggressive look. It looks like a tournament machine that they made for the family.
It does. It goes back to the lines of the original real big center consoles, which a lot of guys, myself included, are still in love with. You know, we're getting to a point in the process now, Dave, where we're tweaking the little things to make everybody in the family happy.
And I think it's exactly what Century did. They kept what worked, and they just made it a little bit better. So the Century that you've seen years ago is not the Century they're building
Well, let's
today.
look at some of the stuff we like about this one.
All right.
Dave, we just came back from a Saturday afternoon with the family. Let's look at how fast we can turn it back into a full-time fishing machine.
Well, I pull this button, table's out of the way,
I take this backrest out,
cushion's out of the way,
and I am up on the bow in my favorite place, fighting a big fish.
and Rick, when you step off of there, there's an insulated fish box right under your feet. So when you land that big fish, you can drop him right in.
I'll slide him right in.
All right, Rick, when we look at these big center consoles, we always talk about the console itself. What I like about the Century is the room inside the console. It goes way forward under the bow. Not that you would sleep under there, but if we're gonna go to the islands for a week, it's a great place. I can lock all my rods up and they're out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you're right, Dave, and it gives you a bunch more storage. You know me, I can never have enough storage on a boat, enough places to put rods. That's a great place to put them, close the door, and they're not seen.
When we're talking about locking the rods up, one thing I really like, they've got doors on either side under the gunnels where you can lock your rods up too. That way they're easy to access, but here again, out of sight, out of mind.
Well, you're right, and it's a fine storage. Boy, am I ever in love with this seating they've got here. Once again, they didn't give you a bench, they gave you seats, okay? These are just as comfortable to ride in as your car or anywhere else you're gonna sit.
Now above our head, we've seen a lot of molded hardtops on a lot of these big boats especially. One thing I love is the fact that they've matched the color, but they put the dark color on the bottom. And the amount of glare it's knocked off, it's amazing. Another thing we're seeing a lot of, and Century has done it also, built-in misters. I love this. It gets hot in the summertime, flick a button, you get those misters going. This is the most comfortable place to stand in the entire boat.
Dave, every boat we look at, everybody's trying harder to maximize space. Most builders waste the space below the gunnels. Century has done a great job of using every square inch below the gunnel of the boat.
Well, everywhere you look, there's a locking compartment. I've got a washdown on this side. We've got an electrical switch over here. We've got tip-out tackle boxes here. We've got the rod storage we talked about earlier. It's a great use of storage space that a lot of other boats just leave open.
Well, you're right. And boy, do I love that panel of battery switches and stuff. Get it out of the salt water, get it out from your bilge, get it out from under your console, and have it to where you get to it in a moment.
Well, something you're gonna love, open up this tackle storage behind the leaner. For a guy that fishes tournaments like you do, this is custom made for your world.
Excellent use of space under the rocket launcher.
Well, your live well, right back here, check it out. You've got your rig and sink over there with a cutting board, and you've got this huge live well, but it's actually divided into two, so if you wanted to put different kind of baits on either side, you can separate them.
Not only that, Dave, you can drop that panel down in there when there's only 3 baits left, makes them catchable.
Look at the size of the fish boxes on either side, port and starboard. They're super long. A tournament winning kingfish or a big wahoo, he's gonna easily fit there. So if you're looking for a big center console that you can still trailer, you still only need 2 outboards, you don't have to have triples or quads, maybe the Century 2901 would be your best boat.